you have to find your way. You can't trust the way that is paved for you. Security, it's an illusion. There really is no such thing as security. And you can fail at the thing that you don't want. So why not go after the thing that you do want? And even if you succeed, so to speak, at that thing that you don't want, it's not what you want. So even that success is ultimately a failure. But in going after the dream, if I fall short, if I don't make it, well, at least I know, and at least I am on the quest towards what I want. And I feel like that's a greater success than the illusion of success on the other road. If you do nothing, there will be people to judge you. If you do something, there will be people to judge you. If you do everything, there will be people to judge you.
Hello again, anyone tuning into this here transmission. It is I, Zycon Ebenflow, recording another episode of Iris of Our Eye. I believe this one is 47, so it's T minus 5 and counting to the legendary 52 that I've been aiming for 2 years, even though it took me 2 years to do a year worth of podcasts. It was the goal originally, one every week, but here we are, 47. It's incredible. I'm sitting down with Michael. I know his first name is Michael. I'm almost certain of it. God damn it. Where is it? I didn't. Michael, I'm sorry. What's your last name? Or was your
Carini.
Carini. There it is. I'm just fucking should know these things, but I'm not perfect. Michael Carini, artist extraordinaire. Definitely a painter. If you couldn't tell, if you're only listening, there's a bunch of painting things. He's probably somewhere a studio of his. So painter, and then is there any other form of art that you were talking about some type of teaching thing, so maybe some theater is also involved?
I teach paint and sip classes. I'm an educator. I do some art writing too for publication. So I'm all over the art spectrum.
Cool. Isn't that the way to go about it? um or is it, it's the jack of all trades, master of none, better than one. I abide by that philosophy a little bit. I met Michael through Threads, and then he connected a little bit more on Facebook here. He's got a group, and he puts his art out too. He's a pretty cool guy. I can't remember. Let me see the pieces. I should have looked. I know I did before, because obviously I wouldn't be talking to you if I was like, oh, didn't catch my eye. But I can't look at a thing right now, of course. So I guess we'll just jump in, because I am silly and not looking at your art. What is art to you, Michael?
I mean, art is everything to me. It's really the only thing to me. It's the only reason that I'm still here today. I call my process acrylic alchemy, and it's about transmuting pain to purpose, utilizing that hand that life deals you, and trying to spin it into a positive. And if you can do that, you can take away the power that those traumas hold over you.
Yeah, so there's definitely healing in what you just said. I felt it very viscerally. A lot of wisdom, because it's philosophically, or no, psychologically. Yeah, Carl Jung, the integration of the shadow. It felt like you taking away the bite of the trauma and the specter and the fear that thing could or did have over the control over your life, and allowing you to like reclaim the piece of yourself that might be lost in that, and the power, if I could say it so.
Absolutely. And philosophy and psychology both play major roles in my art, because I don't just funnel through elements of art history, I funnel through every part of life. So when I was going through school, I was big into philosophy and psychology. And so those definitely are key tenets that work their way into my art. And I actually have a couple pieces out of my hallway based on Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra. So philosophy, big part of my work for sure.
Absolutely, man. It's what is it? Small minds talk about people. Be like medium minds talk about events, and like big minds
Talk about ideas.
talk about ideas. Yeah, that's try to keep myself humble, because it's like you that notion of not so much superiority, but just like you're a big mind or a big thinker, but that you do we grapple with these tougher, more I don't know, scintillating or stimulating ideas or concepts or just experiences that not every person does. So there's a little bit of like distinction there, I guess.
Yeah. And wasn't it Socrates that said something along the lines of the fool thinks himself a wise man, but the wise man knows himself a fool?
Yeah, that definitely. I don't know if that's verbatim, but I've definitely heard that one before, and that's a piece of wisdom that I think is very crucial. That only a fool thinks he can't be fooled might be a different phrase someone else said, and we're all standing on the shoulders of intellectual giants because nothing original under the sun exists anymore. But on that tangent, beautiful tangent as it is, like a ray of sun. What is originality to you? Like, or what is originality, or where do you think originality comes from?
Well, kind of like you said, everything in some way, shape, or form has kind of been touched upon. So, authenticity really comes from sharing your authentic journey. So, my work is very much about personal narrative, sharing my stories. And it's one of the things I've been trying to get back to because I feel like I lost myself a little bit for a number of reasons, traumatic brain injury, some other stuff going on, but also trying to be a part of the art world, trying to be a part of the gallery scene. Now, I do show with some galleries, and for the past handful of years, I've lived exclusively off the art. And whether you want it to or not, on a subconscious level, it kind of hits you when your art's not selling. You have to think about, well, why is it not selling? I got to make something that's marketable. And I think I got too much into the mode of being concerned with what other people wanted or what other people would respond to. And I got away from just sharing my stories unapologetically. And so now I'm trying to get back to this place of not caring what the public thinks, not because I don't care about the public, but the best way that I can offer something to the public is to be authentic and to share my story and find the real people that will connect with my story as opposed to trying to find a generic story that reaches the masses. I'm a neurodivergent artist with Tourette's and a traumatic brain injury. I am not built for the masses. So why would I try to reach the masses?
Right? I mean, no, yeah. I mean, you said it, man. It's on you to be yourself wholeheartedly and unapologetically, and then like that stirs something deep in the other people that are like struggling with it, or aren't all the way there. And yeah, it's a process. You move up and down the spiral of life through these like phases or seasons, and like you are maybe more, not prophetic, but more like tuned in sometimes, and then like something happens and you get to signal of yourself gets muddied, and you're just like, you're just going through a downward spiral, and it turns around and you're back up to a brighter, happier place. And it's just the waves of up and down of life are just like, that's how you know you're alive. I imagine like the like a physical heartbeat is literally like there's a up and a down to it, and that like if you're flatlining, you're dead. So there's no growth or no change there.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it is. And I have the ups and downs myself all the time. And I feel like that's really important to share because I feel like social media has created this mass facade in this smoke and mirrors, the Wizard of Oz type effect of the person behind the curtain, and we can project an image that we want. And I try to be more honest about the journey, the ups and the downs, because there's a lot of artists out there trying to find their way right now. Like I'm still trying to find my way. But from the outside looking in, people may say, well, oh, you have a following that's this large and you show with galleries and you do this and that. But I've had to endure a lot of failure and continue to endure a lot of failure. And so I try to be honest about that journey to kind of shake off some of those misconceptions and perceptions that I think a lot of people put onto social media that, oh, I'm just successful all the time and this is how you do it. Like, no, I'm always trying to figure it out and I'm always having to recreate myself. But I'm an artist and artists find creative solutions. So I'm blessed with the fact that as an artist, I can try to find a creative solution when I run into these obstacles.
Oh man, absolutely, yeah, dude. It's very empowering to like face life on life's terms and be like, well, there's this dilemma in my life, but what can I do to like solve the problem or navigate the rocky terrain I find myself um, upon, enduring, and then making it to the other side and being like, oh yeah, dude, I did that. I made it through. I'm the man, a little bit, at least for me. But maybe let's take it wherever we are. Let's take it back to where it all started, because I love learning about people's personal uh, experiences and journeys, and like how they got like inciting incidences from the literary terminology. Like where were you when you were first like, man, maybe art is something that I want to do for the rest of my life?
I always had it inside of me, and it was the only way that I could ever really connect or communicate with the world. I always knew that, or felt like there was something a little off with me. I just had so much difficulty connecting in any other way, but art just made sense to me. It was the only language that seemed to make sense. So I was drawn to it, but I didn't come from an art family or a well off family. And I had a few key moments growing up that kind of gave me positive reinforcement for the art. And so I started putting more energy into that because I realized it was a way for me to be seen when I felt unseen most of my life.
Mm.
And it was something that I just wanted to see how far I could take it. And I've always been someone that is just driven and some might call it obsessed or relentless. And I mean, honestly, the only reason I am where I am today is because I am those things, because I am relentless. And I haven't, like with what we were just talking about, the key is just not giving up and continuing on the path when times get tough, because when it gets tough, most will give up. So I did not have, I don't want to say I was unsupported, but I wasn't necessarily supported. I had to put myself through college. I was the first person in my family to go to school, and I chose to go to art school. Completely impractical. People told me, oh, you'll never be able to make any money that way. And I was told you'll never be able to make any money writing either. And today I get paid to make art and to write. So the two things people told me I'd never make money off of. So part of it was, I think, just me choosing to do something that people told me I could not do, that was not possible. And I was just committed to that. And yeah, I mean, I still have my downs, and I don't want to say that I'm the most successful person financially, but I am living my dream and I'm doing what I set out to do. I'm living my purpose and my calling. So in my eyes, I would call that success.
Right. No, definitely. There's a. It's more of I mean, I guess yeah. There is. I don't know. I would describe it as a spiritual component, especially that like that grit of perseverance or relentlessness, as you just said. That you just, despite what people, how they want or how they were conditioned, because that's always the thing of like the previous generations had the conditions and culture that they were marinated and grew up in, and then like we as the coming up or moving through the changes of time in real time, kind of, I feel like especially in the present moment there's a lot of like rebelling against the current zeitgeist, and I think that requires a level of um, like dedication or determination that is not generally seen in most people. They choose safety or the beaten path over uh, the risk of making their dreams come true.
Yeah. And I mean, I went to art school, and so I did do the art thing, but I was supposed to be a graphic design major because it was a slightly more practical route, but still within the realm of what I wanted to do. And then I took my first painting class, and I said, you know what, this is what I want to do, and I want to do this so much that I will find a way to make it work.
Mm.
Now, when I did get out of school, I did get a job in sales, but in an arts related industry where I felt like it was at least parallel to my journey and I could make it work. I could learn some things, and I did that for a while. And I was running my business simultaneously as an artist while working for somebody else. But 2019 came around, and it just felt like life was going backwards. And I didn't want to be part of that corporate world. Like, it was killing my soul. I was ready to give up on life. And
Mm.
so I had to remove myself from that for that reason that you were just sharing. Like, I had to get away from that because I realized that security, it's an illusion. There really is no such thing as security, and you can fail at the thing that you don't want, so why not go after the thing that you do want? And even if you succeed, so to speak, at that thing that you don't want, it's not what you want, so even that success is ultimately a failure. But in going after the dream, if I fall short, if I don't make it, well, at least I know, and at least I am on the quest towards what I want, and I feel like that's a greater success than the illusion of success on the other road.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't know if you know, but the first person that I've heard said that that idea that way was Jim Carrey. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I just love that so much because it's such a it flaunts in the face of the what people would consider common knowledge or like common sense that like you can fail at something you hate. So you might as well take the chance at succeeding at something that you care deeply and passionately about. I just love that so much. It gives me fuels me when things are going awry or not exactly as I planned. That I'm like, well, could have played it safe and kind of dimmed my light and tried to play it safe and small and stay inside the box of what people expected of me or what they thought of me. And I much rather be sitting here talking to you and enjoying this lovely conversation than whatever potential potential timeline that might be.
Yeah.
And then there was more after that you had said that I wanted to try to speak on to the thread, but I'm coming undone slightly here. I guess let's take a left turn here. If you care to enlighten me as to any influences that play deeply. Well, actually, I do want to learn about that, but there was something that I'm remembering now. Does spirituality or some type of higher truth, however you want to interpret that to mean, does that influence or play a role in your creative endeavors?
Oh, absolutely. I went to Catholic school for 12 years, but I'm of a mindset now of openness and inclusion. So, not passing judgment towards anybody else's beliefs. I believe that ultimately we all kind of believe in a similar thing. We just call it different things. And I just see no reason to fight or dispute that with anybody. We all have our own systems of beliefs. And I feel like if we're being better people or the best people that we can be, then there's no harm there. So, I approach everything with kind of this fluidity in terms of the belief system, but it's ultimately just about finding yourself and finding hope and creating hope for others. And I feel like that is a good place to be because I feel like art is a bridge. And I feel like there's so much divide in the world right now, but art is the bridge that can connect us and bring us together. So I like to use the art and put the messages in the art in such a way as that it can connect us, but never with an intent to divide. And I feel like that's one of the blessings of art is it's one of the things that can connect us. Whereas a lot of times you have conversations about certain things, certain topics, it just ultimately comes to a wall. But art is the bridge that allows you to kind of put some of the messages in and connect people in such a way that it is just perceived and received differently, I would say.
Yeah, there's definitely something about being able to put a message in a picture that translates differently than if you were to just have a wall of text that they had to read or a conversation of hearing someone tell them about the idea. If you just illustrate it or play a piece that moves emotion in a way that you don't even need words to describe the feeling you're trying to invoke or enchant them with. That, yeah, it just, like, art moves emotion without the intellect sometimes, or needing to involve the intellect so much. There's just a feeling that it, like, if it's not to say if it's genuine, but if it's powerful, I suppose that it causes a ripple in the subconscious of the person who is witnessing it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really try to emphasize is that art is something that you feel, and if you have a reaction to it, you're a part of the conversation. You don't have to know all the fancy dialogue or have the educational background to appreciate art or to interpret art. And that's the amazing thing about it. Everybody I feel could be a part of that conversation. I do feel like there are a lot of people that do try to exclude people from the conversation though. And so what I'm trying to do is bring it back to everybody, bring it back to the people in such a way that everybody can be a part of the conversation. You don't if you know the stuff, you know the terminology and whatnot, that's great. Cool. We can have this conversation. But if you don't, and just, hey, I feel that and I don't even know how to describe it. Well, that's a beautiful thing too. And one of my favorite things is I choose to use abstract language a lot. And there's a lot of people out there that don't like abstract art. And I didn't start off as an abstract artist. But what I'm getting to is that there are a lot of people that have messaged me and said, you know what? I've never been a fan of abstract art, but there is something about your work that I connect to, or that is making me view this thing that I was once very much against in such a way that I'm not against it. And that is the bridge, that is the connection. And that is such a cool and powerful thing to do, to shift what was once an obstinate view against something and open it up to possibility.
I just feel like that is like the art artists do I don't know duty. I feel like I said that in a previous episode recently. There's just this magic in being able to open up a mind to a previously unseen possibility that they had never considered before, or that they were just so like rigid or had a concrete barrier mentally as to like their boundaries of this is who I am or what's going on, and then to just be able to through your own passion or love of the craft or the thing that you're creating the art for, um, shift that and change their perspective is magic.
Yeah, and kind of diving back into a couple of things that we've been talking about. We were talking about the spiritual aspect, and I had a couple paintings that I did that were about crossing the Rainbow Bridge after I had lost an animal, and how tremendously difficult that was. And in the past month or so, I had someone reach out to me from my art group, Safe Space for Artists on Facebook, and say, "Oh, I've never really purchased art before, but I really connect with this piece, and my daughter's been having a lot of difficulty navigating the loss of our pet." And I found a way to make it work for her. And so, one, something that where the spiritual tie in there between myself and my work, and then their experience and what they were going through, and also somebody that had not collected art before, and being able to bring them into the fold and create an experience for them to make them kind of have a deeper bond with the arts and with a type of art that they may not have been drawn to before. So, like across the board, I feel like that was just such a magical experience. I'm hoping for them, but for me as well as the artist. And that's really cool when it's reciprocal, when it's a relationship of balanced reciprocity.
Mm. Oh man, dude! Wow, yeah, there is definitely a lot of magic in like grace or just beauty in that whole idea of a genuinely well balanced, reciprocated, like two sided, two-way street exchange between two people. I'm just thinking of all like when things are going well in relationships, just how good you feel as a person when like things like that exist in your life. You're just I feel extremely grateful. My I'm a little my life's a little empty of those kind of relationships right now, but I that just leaves room like when you go through heartbreak, it's like that's where like the cracks from the heartbreak is kind of where the light let can be let in, and I know that when the time is right that those things will come back in as they're needed. But yeah, you just saying that, I'm sorry, it just made me feel incredible. So I
No,
love
it's
love that.
true. It's true. One door closes and another will open, but sometimes when you're in that darkness, it's hard to see to the other side. And that's one of the things that I'm exploring right now in my work through my collection of portals to a better place. And I started this after the traumatic brain injury, but it kind of reflects on that idea of sometimes we're like surrounded by this darkness, but there's this light, there's this hope on the other side. And the other thing that this series reflects, somewhat of a tangent, but not completely, is just I am in a state or a place where I feel pulled between worlds, particularly since the accident. And so art gives me an outlet to be able to explore that and navigate the healing journey while trying to create a healing path for others that may be going through something at the same time.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to pry, and you don't need to discuss it. But was it a near death experience?
I mean, I would say it was. I definitely had a moment before it happened where I could see it coming in the rearview mirror, and I said to myself, "Oh fuck, this is how I die."
Mm.
Uh, I very vividly. And but I mean, I've had several. near death experiences. So I'm a guy that doesn't get out of the house much. But for a guy that doesn't get out of the house much, I have had several instances and situations. So I definitely feel like I am here for a reason, because I would not be here if there wasn't a greater purpose for me to be here.
Right. Yeah. No. The closer you get to actually like ripping that band-aid off or piercing the veil back into wherever we all come from as souls, for at least in my opinion, my perspective, it it kind of makes it all of the like mundane irritations of life kind of dwarfs them, and you kind of really tune into or figure out what your priorities are and like what you really want to do with your life. And I feel at least slightly that like people there when they go through that whole like midlife crisis, if they haven't experienced anything up to that point that's made them reflect on their own mortality, that's really what that is.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I cut out a lot of things that other people make a part of their daily life and routine. It's just I want no part of those things, but I don't even pretend to want to be a part of those things. And so sometimes it puts me in a place of being a little bit of an outcast or being labeled in certain ways, but what do I care? I'm doing the things that I want to do. And the more that you do the things you want to do, the more people that are not doing the things that they want to do are going to pass judgment on you simply because they're not doing them.
Yeah, exactly. No, definitely. It's the brighter your light shines, you're gonna get the moths to the flame of the people who were like looking up to you as a role model, of being like, hey, could you show me how to do that? Because they're enthralled with the passion and zest and love for life that you have. But then also, like, the stronger that light becomes, it's gonna almost sometimes either like a lighthouse or a laser beam, kind of just zap people and press their buttons just unconsciously and stir up their inner demons and kind of just make them want to criticize you. So, with that in mind, maybe you could speak to how you have dealt with or tried to integrate the experience of cr- dealing with critics, hopefully the constructive kind, but sometimes you don't get a choice, you just get criticized. So,
Well, kind of like you just described, the devil doesn't need to come after you when he's already got you in his pocket. But
mm-hmm.
when you start doing stuff, you start to see more of that coming after you. And I've definitely noticed as I grow on social media or anytime I have something really pop off and be big, that that's when I start to see more of the hate and the negativity. And it is a challenge for some more than others. It is a challenge for me. And at times I would try to engage, not necessarily because I felt like I had to defend myself, but because I felt like I had to stand up for others, like to handle the bully
mm
for somebody else that would not be able to handle it. But then I also realized that it's really a no-win situation, because even in doing that, I'm engaging with somebody that was just trying to bait me into something, and nothing that I could say or do will ever be enough for them or a lot of other people out there. I only have so much time and energy.
mm
Do I want to give it to feeding that wolf, or would I rather give it to feeding the positive one? So I have been a little bit better about, like, even this morning I woke up and the first thing I saw, because the first thing I do in the morning as I'm getting ready is kind of check my notifications, see what I got to take care of for business. And there was a nasty one this morning, something along the lines of, because I was posting about how imposter syndrome is perfectly normal and natural for artists because we're open-minded individuals that are not planted in the ground, and so we are different things at different times, so it's perfectly okay. And the comment was something along the lines of, wow, you got such an ego to think that you can speak for all artists. And I was like, you could just never win with anything. There's always going to, you if you do nothing, there will be people to judge you. If you
Right.
do something, there will be people to judge you. If you do everything, there will be people to judge you. So I am having to learn to better manage it. It is tough. It's tough, especially if you're having like a bad day, or like you're already like in your head. And I'm kind of in my head right now because of some things I'm going through with like injuries and not being able to manage my physical wellness as much as I would like to, which is very much tied to my mental wellness. So I'm probably a little more insecure and sensitive than I typically am. No, I'm going to say probably I am. So I was actually surprised that I was able to just block that person this morning. But I do block these people now and just try to move on with the day. But even in the group that I created, I tried to create a group that is a safe space for artists. And that means different things to different people, but the intention was to create a space where artists could post their work without judgment or criticism unless they were asking for a critique per se. And I want it to be a group that allows artists to be who they are and to share their views, even if those views are not my views. So we do allow political art in there, but my God, the amount of people that we have to ban because of that, we had to start shutting off comments on political posts and just put, look, you can post political stuff from whatever your viewpoint is, and religious stuff too, or whatever. But if there's any fighting in the comments, we shut them off. But it's just, I don't even know where I was going with that, but just like the basically where I'm going with it is the negativity is just overwhelming, and there's so much out there in the time that we're living in, and social media allows people to just hide behind and just share a viewpoint about anything, and everybody just wants to be so contradictory, or well, I don't agree with that totally, so I got to give a rebuttal to it, as opposed to just appreciating that somebody else has a thought and leaving it alone and moving along if we don't agree with it. And that's what I'm learning or trying to learn to do is if I don't like something, just move along. Like I don't need to tear somebody else down. Anytime I need to I notice for a fact, anytime I need to tear somebody else down or say something mean to somebody, it's because of my own insecurity and nothing more. It very, very rarely has anything to do with that person whatsoever. It is about me. It tells me far more about me.
Yeah, yeah. I just what's the thing? First, I just want to say like don't feed the trolls because like that is just such a waste of your time and energy for sure. But then yeah, with the internet, it is so incredibly difficult, if damn near impossible, to ever get a feeling if you're even dealing with a real person in the first place. But then also, like, are are like if even if you are coming from a place of good faith and genuineness, that like it is how are you supposed to ever tell if through a screen that the other person is? And yeah, then to the last thing that you had said of when you yourself are feeling the need to be judgmental or like tearing the other person down energetically to make yourself feel better, that is usually coming from a place of hurt and woundedness. There's definitely an incredible amount of truth to that, and I do my best to what you want to only ever say things that you would want to hear, or there's definitely some type of like saying about that. It's just like it's not say what you mean what you say, but there's something there that I'm not recalling right now. But it's important to definitely speak with a kind and gentle words and thoughts because you never know what the other person's going through.
And I think that's one of the reasons I do it is because I know what I'm going through, and I know that there are probably other people out there going through similar things or different things, and just life experience has taught me that. I was even thinking today on my way to the gym. I used to be, and I don't even want to say used to be. But I definitely used to be kind of more of an asshole. I'm sure I probably still am at times, and in the eyes of some, I absolutely am. But I'm trying to be a better person, and one of the things I say a lot is that I don't think I'll ever be the hero of my story, but I'm trying very, very hard not to be the villain of my story.
Oh my god! Well, yeah, that's definitely the an important thing to try to maintain. If you suffer from self deflating or self defeating inner turmoil or thought processes or actions, that it's you're just never gonna get off the starting line because you're just kneecapping or chopping at your own Achilles heel before you ever take run to the finish line there. So it's you gotta have some tenderness for yourself and really just like love where you're at, and but also like give yourself the opportunity to fail, and if you fail 8 times, get up 9. Things like that, I think.
Sometimes it is so hard to give ourselves that grace, though.
Yeah, no, definitely, especially if your uh, immediate circle of people isn't super congenial or like supportive of the things that you're doing, but you just gotta have that mental fortitude to be like, I'm gonna do it anyway. Forget what you gotta say. I'm still gonna do it. I'm the best, or something like that. Whatever works
Yeah,
for
and
you.
I basically had to turn my circle into a dot, where basically it's me, and I just have to do the thing, do what I was put here to do, allow people to feel how they feel, and all I can do is try to be the best that I can be and work with what I have. And there's nothing more that I can do than that. And if that's not enough, then it will be enough that it's not enough, because that's all that I can do.
Right. I mean, yeah, you can't take on the world's everything and expect that, because then it becomes your ego almost does want to inflate itself to the size of Jupiter if you think you can carry the world's burden on your shoulder, as if you're the person who the saint or the saint or the sacrifice that want get out like I'm sorry. There's a saying, I don't even know where it comes from, but my roommate said once, however many moons ago, that it was like, get off the cross. We need the wood. Just
I love that.
yeah, that was just so funny. Like you don't need to be the martyr. You ain't got to be the Joan of Arc, like doing everything yourself. But at the same time, how you're saying that, like, if you yourself genuinely in your heart of hearts know that what you're doing is your best of your ability, and like it comes up short or it's not enough in that exact moment that you feel like you wished it had been, that you just got to trust that, like, hey, it was the best I could do. Whatever.
Yeah, and I think that doing that, it sets you free, and it helps to set others free too. Especially because what I try to do through my platforms is to be transparent and to share the ups and the downs, and I have the candid talks through my channels. So I try to put that out there, and people can respond how they want. And I probably will never be the mega pop. Like, I feel I do all right for myself. However well I do is however well I do, and that's enough. But I'll probably never be like the mega popular, or the person that fits in with the masses. And again, that's because that's not who I am, and that's not the message that I share. I don't share the message that everybody wants me to share. So, but I don't want to be a part of that, so that's fine.
Right.
That's right where I'm supposed to be.
More power to you. I feel there's something that you lose you lose who you are when you're trying to placate, or like you
Yes.
like if you're like, I'm imagining Mr. Beast. Like, yes, he's extremely successful, however many subscribers on YouTube, that's this whole thing, but he is like not owned, but like he has to be the image of what people expect him to be for the rest of his life. There's no, you can't show a vulnerability or an authentic kind of what's actually behind the screen, or because it's, you pull back the curtain and people are like, oh, you're not the thing that we want you or expect you to be anymore, so don't do that.
Yeah, and I try to eliminate that expectation right away. It's like, hey, if I put all my faults and my struggles and my failures out there, you can't really use them against me. And if you try, it's like, well, I already said that. I already called myself out on that. So I've already kind of just did the work of breaking down that image. And the truth is if you try to be what everybody else wants you to be, they're still not going to be happy, and then you're not going to be happy. So why not just make sure that you're happy so that you could be the best version of yourself, and then you can at least connect with the people, the like-minded people that are really meant to be a part of your tribe and your circle. So that's what I tell artists a lot of times, really, well, I want, how do I find people? And it's not about finding people, it's about finding the right people. So if you have a smaller audience but it's the right people and it's a good community of people that actually connect with you, it's far better to have one or five or 10 of those people than it is to have 100,000 people that really don't give a shit and don't really connect with you.
Absolutely. It's two things that, yeah, what you had said made me think of. I'm imagining the 8 mile the 8 mile and the 8 mile where Eminem's just like shitting on himself because he just knows of like what all the people who are he's rapping against are just gonna say, and they just fucking that's exactly that. Where you're just like, if I just say and own all of the things that aren't perfect with me, then like what, how, yeah, I know that about myself. Thank you. Like the more I know about myself, like I, yeah, I know that. Thanks. Like whatever. You don't have to. It goes. What is it like? You're rubber. or I'm glue and you're glue and I'm rubber, so whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. That whole like kid thing. And then yeah, don't argue with dummies or idiots because they'll drag you down to your level. Drag you down to their level and beat you with experience is another like random like saying that is just extremely accurate and I think is a little funny, a little silly.
No, it is, and I have to remind myself of that too. I'm like, well, think about the people that are making these comments, and like, if you ever look at the profiles, a lot of it's the same stuff. Like, it's no profile image, or there's a certain type of person that likes to troll,
Mm,
and like you said too, a lot of these things aren't even real people anymore. It's like you're arguing with bots and like AI. So that's a whole nother conversation. But it's like, you know what? Just remove yourself, and you don't have to deal with any of the nonsense. Just take yourself out of that room.
right, right. Don't waste your breath. You can't possibly know, but the only it's like if you could genuinely somehow feel like in your heart and soul that there is an actual other genuine person on the other side of the screen and you could do something for them with that conversation, then like have it obviously, but like yeah, it's just like navigating that minefield is just like oh disgusting. It's just very complicated and risky endeavor that may or may not be worth it. Who's to say? But I guess there was something in what you had alluded to or mentioned about AI, and it's been in the forefront of my mind recently with this podcast that I watched. So I'm just curious what your thoughts or feelings are on this incredibly disruptive technology that we're kind of facing the barrel of it being pointed at us as artists. I'm just curious what your thoughts and feelings are when it comes to artificial intelligence.
I don't want to say that it is 100% bad, but like, I also grew up, I think, the year that Terminator came out. And so it's like, I've seen how this ends, and all the signs are kind of pointing to something similar, but I am seeing it take away work from artists. I am seeing a lot of shops pop up with AI art. AI art is, in many cases, created from a funnel of artists whose work is being used without ever being compensated, without ever giving any consent. There are magazines out there that I know are using AI writers. There's a lot of businesses that are using AI as opposed to paying employees. And that's not even addressing the environmental impact of AI for those that don't know. And that was kind of news to me, like when the whole NFT thing came around, because I was doing what was called a physical NFT, which is somewhat different.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned about the process of NFTs and the energy and power required to keep the server going, and how much because I was thinking, oh, it's a digital thing, it is less damaging on the environment, but oh my god, I couldn't have been more wrong
Yeah.
once I got the information. And not only that, but a lot of the groups on Facebook, you'll see a lot of AI pop up, and people would say, well, it doesn't hurt you if we post AI. Here's what happens: it gets posted in a group, it's created much quicker than something by hand, it goes into the feed. It often looks kind of nice, even though it looks kind of like AI. But it takes the best from artists that put in the time and the effort. So it goes up in the feed. It gets the engagement. Even if people don't like it and they hate AI, they'll engage with it, which still boosts it up there, which pushes down the work of artists using their hands for things. Now, there was an artist in my group that messaged me and told me that I was ableist because they were a disabled artist using AI. And they said that they were making art before and they weren't happy with it, but they started using AI and they were happier with it. And I said, well, that's totally fine. And I'm glad that you're happier with it. I said, in our group, you can show the work that you made by hand. I think that the work you made by hand is great. We want to see that. That is what you are welcome to post in our group. But we do not allow AI in our group at this time. That's the one kind of thing that we do not allow, just because there was so much pushback on that. And I can understand the argument for that because I'm somebody that makes my living as an artist. So I am losing income from these things, even though people want to say that it doesn't have an impact. It absolutely does. I have seen it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
And so that person was just really upset with me, even though I felt like I had a pretty open-minded approach to it. I wasn't condemning AI or her use of AI. I just said, well, just in our group, the moderators are going to not accept it. So just post your regular work. And it came down to attacking me then as somebody that was against disabled artists. I'm like, I have a disability myself, but I make something by hand. It doesn't have to have a certain level of aesthetics for it to be acceptable to be in our group. We just want to see what you make by hand with your disability, however that may come across. Just be honest in your art. Doesn't matter how it looks. That's what we want to see in our group. But people will, just attack anything and everything for any reason, and you will never make everybody happy. And it just is what it is.
True. Yep. Nope. You covered pretty much the gambit, the spectrum there of just the unethical Silicon Valley sleaziness of just funneling and sucking up everything, all the data, and using it without ever paying anyone. And then yeah, there's just the risk of running these systems in perpetuity to the environment, and also the problem with trying to create a general relative intelligence, and that we just shouldn't do that because we don't understand it, and we don't like the risk is so unfathomable. Like that podcast that I was watching, that we can't even comprehend how it is going to, once it becomes more intelligent than us. Like we literally have no idea what's going to happen after that, and like it's like, why risk the possibility of destroying the human experiment, or like all of us, for no reason other than a couple of people at the very top of the hierarchy want to just be super rich. Like,
And what is the end goal beyond we can do it, so we're going to? I really don't see what the ultimate benefit is. It just seems like not in all cases. I understand there is the application for those that are disabled, or it can help some small businesses or whatever.
mm-hmm.
But it just seems like a way to, in many cases, dumb down society, because people can just now put in what they want AI to do for them, and they don't have to do the work. It's a shortcut in many cases. And I just, me personally, I don't see the overall it seems like the negatives far outweigh the benefits. But again, I'm just one person, and I have to understand that there are other people that may feel differently. But yeah, maybe it's just because I'm that 80s baby that watched Terminator, and I'm just like, we got a warning, and like we specifically seem to be doing the things that we were warned against.
I have a fairly conspiratorial nature, streak, bent, however you want to describe it without sounding too woo woo crazy. But I definitely think that there is a sect or slice of people in society that kind of just would, they would feel very gratified with the doing away of vast swath of humanity, because they would just become whoever they like kept around. It would just be very much easier to control with a Terminator style army.
Yes. No,
And
I'd agree with that. I'd
yeah,
agree with that.
yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's, I don't know if cool is the right word to describe it now, but or to say, but it feels very like I guess gratifying. I guess that it's just like I can say this and not be completely like, you're crazy guy. Please don't say that. We don't want to hang out with you anymore, or like being ostracized for holding a view that's kind of just like so in your face now, or like the possibility is 5-10 years away, and like we just need to kind of get together now and be like, we just want to like not do that. Please do not, don't do that, and just make them stop.
No, I mean, it seems scarily like it's on point for kind of what is happening. Cost of living in California, San Diego in particular, is absolutely absurd. And so the loss of work, whatever that may be, from competing against this new thing, it impacts the ability to survive. And I know that there's other industries being targeted, but I had done like a little meme, and the meme was a little conspiracy theory, but it was like, of course, AI would target the artists first because we're the free thinkers. Why not take us out? Because then who's going to be, challenging the status quo
Mm,
once the artists are kind of pushed down. So I could be wrong, but maybe there is something to that. Maybe there is a reason that art is one of the industries that is targeted heavily. I know there's some others, just because of me being in the art world. That's the one that I have my eye on the most, of course.
right. No, no. What you said makes a crap load of sense to me. I would say that there's yeah, and then it's the well, I can't exactly recall what the thought experiment is, but it had to do with the rise of from and transfer and change from socialism to communism, becoming the totalitarian ideology monster that it is. That like is like they came for the farmers and nobody said anything, and they came for the bankers and nobody said anything, and they came for the journalists and nobody said anything, and then they came for me, and I looked around, and then there was nobody to stand up and to stop them from coming for me, and that's kind of what I feel like you were basically alluding to, that like they come for the people who were like able to decode or see the patterns because of our ability to translate ideas from one thing to another, and then you like ruin our ability to exist as a group of people in society, and then there's fewer and fewer people to be able to like mention or be like, hey, like pay attention, this is important, guys.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I try to keep the free speech open in my group for the most part, minus the AI. And why I let people post from all political sides, because I say, you know what? If you have this view, share your view, but let the art speak for itself.
I mean that's the cornerstone, the foundation of how our society is supposed to work. It,
Yeah, and that's why when people are like, "Well, you shouldn't be allowing art posted from this side," and I'm like, if I remove the ability for them to post, then I'm taking away the free speech that we're talking about being. So speak through your art and say what you got to say through the art. I just give the platform. You guys share your messages through the platform.
absolutely, absolutely. So I think we are getting to the closer side of done. So I'm going to probably do the last two questions, and then we'll do where people can find your beautiful, amazing art, and what they're going to find when they get there. But first, the second to last question now is, if we were to pass away upon hitting the stop recording button, what piece of wisdom, knowledge, or advice would you want to be the thing that was shared to all of the other people in the world, whoever comes stumbles upon this on the internet or in the future, that they just feel like you just feel like is very important? Take this with you.
You have to find your way. You can't trust the way that is paved for you.
Mm-hmm. I guess I would say then, trust your intuition, and do the things that make it possible for you to be able to like trust yourself and believe in yourself. And the final question is something that I just recently picked up from the Diary of a CEO podcast. And it is now become. I'm going to start doing this as well. I'm stealing from the greats, but I'm admitting to it, so I guess I'm getting caught. That I now ask the previous guest to come up for a question for the current guest. So the previous guest wanted to ask you, what's a big moment that molded you into who you are today?
I've had a couple. I'm going to touch on three really quick if I can.
Please.
One, I lost my father to suicide before I was a year old, but I didn't know that that was how he had passed. I thought it had been a car crash. And then in 2012, I was reconnected with my biological family. And I learned at that time that that's how he had taken his life. And that's something that I had always struggled with. So I spent the next 5 years working on this project that was dedicated to him. And I actually painted the suicide note that he never left. But I feel like the reason that I am still here today is because he is not. Because once I learned that fact about him, it made me want to stay, if for no reason than pure sheer stubbornness to survive whatever the universe throws at me. And then another incident would be a 2009 assault and battery that was actually the birth of acrylic alchemy, which is what I call my process. This is what I saw flashing through my head, and it represents life growing from death. I had multiple facial fractures, severe eye trauma, and a concussion. And I got back into the studio because I had been out of the studio for a little while, and it got me refocused on my art. And I ended up actually reconnecting with the person that was responsible for the assault and battery, and I ended up giving him a painting to give to his daughter, and completely forgave him. And not just like, hey, I'm going to forgive you on paper so I could talk about it, but like he and I actually have interacted since. People make mistakes, and I would hope that if I ever did something like that, that somebody would show me the same grace, because people don't typically do that.
Mm.
And then one of the others is that I had a friend that I loved dearly that struggled with mental health and addiction. I actually have her handprints right up here in my studio, but she called me her wings, and she's the reason I have them tattooed on my back. But a couple times when she had relapsed, I would fly across the country to see her, make sure she was okay. But in 2015, she disappeared, and she has not been found. It's currently an active cold case,
Mm.
and I know that she was murdered. Her name was Deanne Hastings, but because she struggled with mental health and addiction, nobody really did anything. And I was there for her a lot, but I failed in that I was not able to be for her there for her this time. But I am still trying to do what I can to raise awareness for her story so that we can get answers, and to also raise awareness for others that struggle with mental health and addiction, because it doesn't make you a bad person. I struggle with these things. It doesn't make you a bad person, it just makes you a person. And I think we need to really change how we look at things. It's so easy to see people out there, like we see a celebrity and we find out one thing that they did that we don't like, and we pass all this judgment and criticism and try to cancel them. But which one of us does not have skeletons in the closet? I mean, whoever that is, throw the first stone. But well, too many of us are living in glass houses. So, um, life has thrown a lot of things at me that I'm survived, that I've been able to make it through. And it's still tough some days, but I'm grateful for it. And I try to share the stories with full transparency to try to help others on this journey.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. I really, genuinely, that was that was a lot, man. That was a lot. Do you have? Could you, if give a question to the next guest, and then we're right, almost there, almost
See, this is the first one I think you've given me that stumped me.
done. Yeah, no one ever expects homework.
I mean, I guess it would be something along the lines of, if you could start all over again, would you choose the same path, or would you choose a different path? And that's one, because that's one that I struggle with too. It's like, you know what? There's certain things I could have done to make this easier, to maybe be, quote, more successful, but I also wouldn't be the person that I am today. And perhaps in many ways, the person I am today is better than what others would perceive as that successful person. So I don't know. I find that it's such a simple one, and I'm sure it's one that's asked a lot. But I just feel like that's an interesting one that might change day by day for a lot of us, the way that we answer that one.
Mm. Yeah, that's something that I definitely I don't know if I've ever. I don't. It's a tough one to grapple with. There's definitely shit that I'd regret than I would wish I hadn't done, but it's definitely the things of you learn more from the fuck ups than the wins or successes, right? And now I do believe we are at the finish line here. Please let people know where they can find your stuff and what they're gonna find when they get there, and how they can support you, and anything else that you wanna wrap up with, and then I will say my last ending ritual, and we'll call it.
My website is cariniarts.com. You can find all my social media platforms on there. It'll have my link tree that'll take you to everywhere that you can find me. But I am Acrylic Alchemy on Instagram. I am Carini Arts on Facebook. And I would love for people to join me. You can join the group Safe Space for Artists on Facebook. And there's so many ways you can support artists. I mean, I would love for people to buy the work, but I understand the economy's been hit. People are in dire times. But even a little donation, $3, $5, I send people stickers, stuff like that. If people don't have any money whatsoever, you can still support me and the other artists that you like, because it's not just about me. You can support other artists by sharing their work, telling people about them, liking and engaging with their stuff. It does make a difference, and it does push us up with the algorithm so that we can hopefully be seen a bit higher than some of that AI art.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, people. I do believe that is it. So let's go with let's have. Hey, why am I drawing a blank right now? I say this all the time with all my different stuff that I do. Oh man, how does this go? Oh my goodness, here we go. Smile more, complain less. Never ever ever give up until you discern for your darndest best. Namaste. Have a great day. Sloth Shun if it's nighttime soon. Like, share, comment, subscribe to keep the algorithm satisfied. And if I don't see you while I'm alive, I'll catch you on the flip side after I die. Live light, travel light, be the light, people. That's it. Aloha, mahalo. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And whatever you do, enjoy it. Bye.